guys, so here it is. Talked in the last video about how to make an effective argument, and we talked about what an argument is, talked about all the different elements: claim, reason, evidence, reasoning. By the way, reason and reasoning are two different things, which hopefully you got from the video. Now we're going to talk about how to make a more effective argument. In the last video, we mentioned the elements that we would be discussing in this video. So let's get to it. All right, guys. So the first part of building the rest of your argument is going to be the counterclaim. This is really important because this is how you are going to break down the opposing side's argument. You want to acknowledge the other side. A lot of times people think that, all right, if I'm giving my argument, I don't want to address the other side because I don't want to put any ideas into the audience's head that the other side could have a better argument. But in fact, the opposite is true. What you need to do is acknowledge the opposing claim. Make sure you do your research and focus on a potential reason the opposing side would use, especially a strong reason, one that you will be able to break down. So this is an effort to break it down or strengthen your argument, and we're going to talk about how to do that. All right, now that we know what a counterclaim is, we need to figure out how to work a counterclaim into our argument so that we can strengthen our argument. The first thing you want to do is research. Research is critical when it comes to any type of argument, even an opinion-based argument, because your reason, your evidence, and your reasoning should all be evidence-based. And even though some of that evidence is going to be anecdotal for an argument like this, you're still going to want to have some fact-based evidence in there. So this one looks at what one particular reason people might actually think that cats are better than dogs. And a lot of people will say it's because they're low maintenance, they're easy to take care of, they don't require a lot of attention, etc., etc. So it might be, some might argue that cats are better pets than dogs because they are low maintenance. Right? So yeah, that's a great reason to have a pet if you are someone who's always busy and you like to have some sort of companionship when you come home, but you don't have the time and attention to give to a dog. Cats are low maintenance. And a lot of people do believe that. But what you want to do is not fuel their side of the argument with this reason, but what you want to do is take this reason and use it against them so that you can build your argument up and break their argument down. That's the whole idea of the counterclaim. So the next part is going to be the rebuttal. Let's talk about what a rebuttal might look like given this counterclaim. All right, now for the rebuttal. What is a rebuttal exactly? Well, this is where you are going to refute the counterclaim, the claim that cats do make better pets than dogs because they are low maintenance. Let's offer something to the contrary. Well, sure, you might think that cats are low maintenance and dogs are high maintenance because obviously they're saying cats being low maintenance as a reason means that dogs are the opposite of that. So let's go ahead and refute that by letting them know, hey, dogs are also easy to maintain too. It might not be as low maintenance as cats, but you have some workarounds available to you. So it would look something like this. After you've given your counterclaim, you're then going to remind them what exactly your side of the argument is and address their exact point. Despite requiring more time and attention, dogs can still be quite self-sufficient. So that addresses the low maintenance aspect of it, self-sufficiency. And then your next statement would follow up with exactly what do you mean by that. You can keep your dog on a feeding schedule and use a timed feeder if you have a hectic schedule. So this plays into, hey, I'm too busy to take care of a dog. That's why I prefer a cat, because they're low maintenance, and with my busy schedule, I don't have to worry about stopping to feed the dog every so many hours or however many times a day my dog gets fed. But hey, I can argue against that. I can say, guess what? They have timed feeders, and if you're not going to be home in time to feed your dog, then you set it up on a timed feed schedule. So there is a rebuttal to the low maintenance issue. So your conclusion. It is the last chance you have to get the audience over to your side. So that means you don't want to just restate your claim, because obviously at this point they already know that you think dogs make better pets than cats. But what you can do, maybe you have just a few stragglers who are teetering on the line here. How can you rope those last few people in to believing or agreeing with your side of the argument? In your conclusion, you're going to want to not only restate what your claim is, but you're also going to want to change it to sound new and interesting, or add some spin to your particular mentality or your particular opinion that you haven't quite stated yet. You can't introduce new information in a conclusion. Let me be very clear about that. That is not the point of the conclusion. You are wrapping up your whole argument, tying a little pretty bow on it, making it nice and neat, closing any loose ends. You want to make it sound different, sound more interesting than you did in the beginning, but you do not want to add new information to your conclusion. This is not the place to do that. This is not the place to go find new evidence that you forgot to put in your previous part of the argument and stuff it in here in the conclusion. That is not what the conclusion is about. It is about closing up what you have already said and stating it in a different way, making it more interesting. You can relate it to something else that maybe you haven't said before, but do not add new evidence in your conclusion. There are some sentence starters that you can use. Maybe you don't know how to begin a conclusion paragraph, and these are a few sentence starters, some easy ones to get you started. These are not the only ones. These are not the most academic ones, but they are great ways to get your feet wet if you don't really know how to start a conclusion paragraph. So you can have in conclusion, conclusively, in summation, in summary, to sum it up, to summarize, any variation of those. And again, there are tons more ways to start a conclusion paragraph. You can look up other options, but I think that if you're not sure how to start a conclusion paragraph, I would pick one of these the first time until you get used to writing a conclusion paragraph, and then branch out from there. So we're going to look at how we might conclude our dogs make better pets than cats. All right, so now we have a conclusion paragraph. I wanted to show you that there are a variety of ways you can write a conclusion paragraph. This is just one of those ways. You can still start your conclusion paragraph with in conclusion, in summation, conclusively, or any one of those sentence starters that I gave you, but it is not a requirement. I did work one of those into my paragraph, but I didn't start my paragraph that way. I wanted to build it up a little bit. So first I started with reminding the audience what the initial argument was about, the prompt that started this whole thing. Comparing which pet is better between cats and dogs is an argument as old as time. People who are devoted to one species or the other are not so easily swayed. And this is where I restated my claim. But dogs are truly the superior species. Here is my "let me wrap this up for you" sentence starter. To summarize, dogs are better pets because, and then I'm going back to my XYZ. I didn't want to present a whole entire argument, but if you recall from the previous video, the reason I gave was just an XYZ, because you can put your particular reasons in there. So jumping back to that, showing that, okay, I'm restating what my initial reasons were, or one reason if you only gave one. These were my initial reasons, X, Y, and Z. You want to restate them in your conclusion paragraph. And then this is where you can add something new. Now, initially, I started this whole paragraph a little differently than I started my introductory paragraph with the claim in it. So it's going to sound a little different. It's being told to the audience in a more interesting way. And then I added something in here that is not evidence-based, but it gives a little shove in the same direction, and it just puts a spin on it, letting them know that, hey, someone else thinks the same way I do. As Milan Kundera said, dogs are our link to paradise. That was a quote. Also notice I have cited my source here. We have the name, we have the actual quote in quotation marks, we have a period here. Okay, and then if your requirements were MLA format, APA format, you would need to make sure you included the actual citation, in-text citation there, and your bibliography, works cited page, or whatever at the end. And then finally, a statement to wrap it all up. They love unconditionally and convey their unwavering loyalty. Period. Done. Perfect. Don't need to add anything else if you don't want to. You can add a little bit more to this if you wish, but if not, you do have a pretty strong conclusion paragraph right here. You have addressed the prompt again. You have restated your claim again. You have given your reasons again, and then you have added something new, a different way of saying the same thing without providing new evidence. This quote is not new evidence. This quote is just a statement of somebody sharing the same opinion that I do. That's it. So that's where the difference is. You don't want to put new evidence in there. Evidence being how dogs are loyal and giving a specific example, or evidence of the statistics to how many dog owners there are versus cat owners. You don't want to put something like that in a conclusion paragraph. That's something you should have included back when you were doing evidence. Do not get all twisted when you're trying to write a conclusion paragraph and try to shove new ideas in there. You don't want to do that. So that is how you write an effective argument. This is the latter half of that argument. You would have the first half, then build your second half with your counterclaim, your rebuttal, and then your conclusion. That is the rest of the way to make this an even more effective argument. Hopefully you found something interesting in this that you did not know before, and I hope that you can let me know if there is anything that you would like to ask. Put it in the comments below, something maybe that I've missed, or if you think there's a way to improve this paragraph, let me know in the comments. I don't mind the feedback. I think that people should always be looking for a way to improve themselves, myself included. All right, thank you for watching. Have a great day, everyone.